Good evening, Chris. How are you this week?
Don't sneak up on somebody, Rob. I'm old.
Oh, sorry.
You can't just blast out of no, like a voice from heaven. I thought it was...
Chris, how are you? Chris, you know?
I've been bad, Lord, and I want to try and make amends before you come for me. Can I have another chance?
What'd you do?
Oh, what have we not done?
Oh, is this your news story?
This is my news story.
Is this part of your news story?
It's all part of my news story, Rob.
Okay. Well, as long as you have a tasty beverage.
Tasty beverage? You know what? I'm drinking white wine from a white glass. What do you think of that there?
I got iced tea.
Yeah, I just want to be the
big glass iced tea.
You know what? I nearly said something there that I shouldn't. I'm going to have to be careful this week because I think there's going to be repercussions for stuff. So I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it
moderate and
sensible. Be a good boy.
Cool. Well, Chris, it's been another one of those weeks, hasn't it?
Rob. Yeah, nothing.
Chocked full of news.
No buses.
None of it worth talking about.
None of it we're talking about. I have one story, and
I have one story as well.
Elements of one story, which is probably slightly less interesting for viewers, but. When we look back at this, I think it'll be interesting times. Things are progressing quite quickly, and I have my tuppence worth.
Are you teasing the audience, or are you going to break into your story?
No, I'm sure everybody knows the story.
I like the tease. Keep going with the tease.
The tease is good. So basically, what it's like, whenever you're 16 and you get a tattoo. And then you go home to your mum and tell them that somebody else made you do it.
Yeah, with all those tattoos.
Yeah, all the tattoos I have. I have one tattoo. Actually, I'll show you at some point. I'm the black.
It's okay. I believe you.
No. It's on my arm. It's pretty cool. Okay, so I'm going to flick down here because I'm quoting from the art newspaper. An article by Tom Seymour. Now you know already my deep held affection for Tom. He's kind of one of these northern stars that kind of keep me right with regards to a lot of stuff. I trust him implicitly, and I kind of take guidance in some aspects from Tom, not in a sheepish way, but just in a lack of knowledge way. He's obviously at the core of things, and he is an excellent writer. So. Martin Parr's resignation from Photo Festival, we know that happened. Okay, we know that.
You should tell the audience what happened.
Okay. Well, Martin Parr. It's really
not everybody knows what.
It's really simple. The thing is, I have to. That's be a small caveat here. Everybody knows that I take the piss out of Martin. We both take the piss out of Martin on the Weekly Dose, and that's because it's funny.
It is.
It's funny. It's funny. I like to poke people in power, and a lot of it is tongue in cheek. But this week I have to be careful because what I don't want to do is come across as being trite on maybe a wee bit trite, a wee bit smirky. But I don't want to come across as somebody who is blinded by some sort of other reason to talk about Martin than the facts and the truth. Now I've spent the last few days. So what I'll say to you is Martin was heading up the Bristol Photo Festival. Okay, and
their first year, right?
Their first year, a big deal. Photo festivals are to be supported for sure. But Martin being, and what we're talking about here, we're talking about elitism. We're talking about racism, and I'm going to qualify these statements in a wee second because I think actually that I want to be as fair to the subject as I can because it is important. It's not, it's not my usual Martin Who on my mug. You know what I mean? But those mugs are available in the shop. They're now double the price. In accordance with Martin's ethos. So what we have is he I'm not going to use the word foolishly or anything else, because I'm not sure these are the words he would use. He edited a book. Okay, the book was originally out in 1969. Okay, I'll talk about the book in a wee second. Okay, but there was a lady called Baptiste Halliday from London, who studies at University College in London, and she called him out in this, a double page spread in the photo book, and she basically called him out because there was an image showing a black lady sitting opposite a page, and on the other side was a picture of a caged gorilla. Mm-hmm. Now we all know where those racist tropes lie. We're not nobody here, whether they're a visual reader or they're somebody sitting reading The Sun, that everybody's aware of how these things go. Now that was 430 days ago, I think, something like that. 400 odd days, maybe more, maybe 30.
When the re-release was?
Whenever he was called out on it. So.
Oh my gosh! Are you kidding me?
No. This is
400 days ago?
Yeah, I'm gonna go on here because I think people need to go and look at this for themselves, okay? If you go into, I find a really interesting thing, Less Than Human Debate on Twitter. So between Less Than Human Debate, Tom and Brad, those kind of my fixers for the whole thing with regards to reading between. And then, of course, once you go into Twitter, you go into a whole, you have to be careful of trolls, you have to be careful of lots of stuff, so you have to filter stuff out. But what I'm getting is that, Gian, I don't know if I'm saying this right, Gian Butrini, the original photographer
who did the book in '69.
Yeah. So, the book is called London, and it is 1969 London. Now, I'd be really battling myself because there'd been nothing nicer in my eyes that, that if somebody's hugely guilty, the guillotine falls and cuts their head off, and they walk away with it under their arm, kind of lost and never to be seen again. That's how I feel about the whole thing. Loads of stuff has happened for me. Here's how I get it, okay? The apology comes much too late. Okay, Martin's apology for me comes much...
Over 400 days?
Yeah. Well, it's been...
400 days?
Let me qualify this by saying that in Martin's own apology, he says that he did apologise, but the Baptiste maybe didn't see it.
Oh, okay.
So that's really not...
Where did he post it? Well, did he post it on Twitter?
But that's like me. That's like me shouting at my mum hearing me and then saying sorry. Do you know what I mean? Instead of going, "Oh, sorry, Mum, I didn't read the minister in. Sorry, Mum, I'm directing this at." It's that sort of thing for me. And then not on the 7th, was it? He's part of a group who are publicising, selling their work to raise money for Black Lives Matter. Brilliant. But at that point, he was aware of the accusations. It was probably getting quite heated for him.
Correct.
From what I can gather is he didn't realise it was as serious as it was until the journalists started calling him. So what that says to me is he wasn't particularly aggrieved by the lady had been picketing his exhibitions. There was stuff going on in the background. She had written to him, and from what I can gather, from what my research shows me, he was ignoring it.
Yeah,
or certainly the Martin Parr Foundation. Okay, and that's not to be confused with RoboCop. What was the foundation called in RoboCop? Something. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Parr Martin.
So somebody at the bottom. We know what's going to happen. Somebody's going to get a shovel in the face for this. To try and save Martin's wee face. But so what I get is that all this has happened, and whenever I hear it, I'm honestly delighted that he's been called out on it. Not Martin's been called out on it, but that somebody has been called out on it.
Yeah.
But somebody of that
the old regime,
but the
old guard,
listen, whenever we
needs to answer.
Whenever we talk about elites here, in the world of photography, there's nobody probably more elite, and I mean elite with a really massive EGO in it. Okay, so I think that it has to be pretty serious for this to happen. So that drip, and of course the Black Lives Matter thing, it's the stars have aligned, and dear old Martin is in a, it's kind of like Mortimer Wise. Whenever, I don't know if you've ever seen Mortimer Wise, where and one of them puts a hand under the other one's chin, and jokes get out of that. And it's obviously pretty easy to get out of, but at the same time, it's impossible to get out of. So he's caught, and I kind of am thinking, I called this out about 3 weeks ago in another one of our podcasts as an aside. Okay, so I was aware of it then. Did I do too much talking about it? No, I didn't, and I probably should have done a wee bit more. Not that I've got a massive power, but we do have a certain viewership, so we could have done something. But anyway, so what happens is he goes on and then writes an apology, resigns from the Bristol Photo Festival. And the unfortunate thing for Martin is that, of course, Bristol is where the statue of the slave trader was torn down and thrown in the river. And Bristol, of course, we all know the history of Bristol with regards to slave trading. So the stars are mightily aligned. This is he should have went and seen what do you call your guy used to read the stars. There's a famous English guy. I might do a wee illustration with this.
John Edwards?
No, but funnier than John Edwards. But anyway, he's so this is all right. So I'm sure he hopes it blows over. Apology made. Stands down. Then starts saying that he's 70 and he's white, and it's things passing by. But importantly, he says he wasn't aware of the page. He obviously had missed it. I can assure anybody listening, I wouldn't miss a page if I was doing that.
And you're 70,
and I'm 70 inches around the waist. Is what I am, Rob, right now from all the gas.
I could almost fit almost three of me in that.
I hear what you're saying. If you want, we can date, Rob. I'm not. If you want to go live on the air, ask me out. So then what happens is we start having a debate, okay, and we start getting the article comes out, and it's everyone's like, Christ, have you heard about Martin Parr? How the mighty have fallen, all that sort of stuff. Not quite the apology I was expecting, but anyway, he's made some way towards it. But it does feel a wee bit like, when it's when it's election time and the MPs are kissing the babies. It's that kind of. Yeah. It feels as insincere as that to me now. Placating. Yeah, but that's not to say that's how he felt. I'm saying that's how I figured it and how I looked at it. Okay, but then what we get is this article from, and I'll read you a couple of the things that. In fact, I'll read it now before I read the article because this will make a bit more sense. Okay, because I think this is if what I'm saying is correct, it's pretty damning. Okay, so what we have here is less than human debate. Okay, it's on Twitter. You want to go on and follow it, and it's opening up the debate around black and people of color in photography. Okay. So, what better a forum to have these discussions? So what we get is one day ago. Oh, you also want to follow Duck Rabbit blog on Twitter. I've just come across it, and it's just mighty. It is no holds barred. It is there's stuff I can't talk about because
we'll get that Twitter handle.
We'll get the Twitter handle.
Below.
Yeah, you need to go and read because it's not just this accusation. There's a few further accusations that are way more disturbing, way more damning. And Martin, I don't know, you don't want people just riding the back of stuff and saying stuff that's shit and then people believing it. I'll have to research it. But anyway, on the thing, Duck Rabbit blog shares a thing, and it's basically it's crazy. It says, this is what structural racism in photography looks like. The facts are not disputed. Parr has apologised, and yet this, okay? And someone has sent somebody a message, and it says, people messaging to say, be careful, in brackets, about the Martin Parr story we've shared on Work Show Grow, okay? So Work Show Grow is really interesting. Go and look at it. It's where people go in and make work and exhibit it, and it's cool. It's a really cool forum. It's a really good forum, right? And then it says in italics, this is exactly the point. No one should become so powerful within an industry that people are too scared to challenge their actions or behaviour.
True.
So here's the dig for me, okay? Dear old Martin has done his thing, okay? He's fucked up royally. Whether it's by accident or whatever, it's still fucked up. you need to come out and hold your hands up. You need to be exacting in your truth. I'll read an excerpt from the letter that I'll do it quickly, that Baptiste wrote and Martin's reply, okay? Or sorry, her reply to him. He is schooled. I mean, it is beautiful. It is beautiful. So what we get then is, you have to realize that my problem is I've been looking for people that I know that are not in Martin's gang. That's the wrong thing to say. They probably respect him, and rightly so. 40 years of working as a photographer, there are things he's done which are definitely to be applauded. But whenever you do something that's wrong, your friends are the very people that need to come out and say, hold on a second. You know what I mean? If you and I were out in a bar and I said something, not that I ever will, but if I said something that was racist, I would expect you as my friend to take me to the side and say, Christ almighty, Chris, what's going on? Do you know what I mean?
Might not even take you to the side.
Yeah, exactly. So,
might just call you out right there.
Right there, yeah. But that's what friends are for. That friends are for, or colleagues, or that has to be done. Now, there are people who are definitely coming out.
Keeping people in check.
No matter, Now, what happens is Martin's so powerful that, obviously everyone's scared of the big machine coming in and ruining your career. That's ultimately the thing.
But can I ask a question?
Yeah.
And sorry to interject.
No.
I mean, but how is he almighty and powerful to ruin your career?
Well,
to be quite honest, not that I would or you would, really not slander him, but really rag on him publicly.
Listen, we take the piss.
Listen, yeah. But how could he ever affect me? He can't affect me.
Oh well.
How is he going to affect me?
Well, it's not him. He's
not powerful. I'm trying to find out how he's powerful. Why people are scared of Martin Parr. Why would they be scared?
People are scared of Martin Parr. I can assure you that.
For what though?
Because
For what?
Listen, photography is a very small circle of people, essentially. Those upper echelons are really tight, really small. He's definitely been called out by people for sure.
Well, I mean, maybe if you're trying to get a show in a gallery, a specific gallery. Yeah. But what are even the chances that he has a relationship with that specific gallery?
Why? Martin Parr's
is there a gallery mafia out there?
No, I wouldn't say there's a gallery mafia, but what it is, listen, here's how it is. If Martin Parr likes your work, okay, and I know several artists.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I can see that end of things.
So he puts you in it.
But I'm looking at the other end of things, how he could be detrimental to your career, how he could actually affect your career.
Well, I think I think that I don't know, but clearly, that tweet. Be careful.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot. Sorry, Chris.
No, you're not. You're not. Sorry. I don't feel on the spot because I don't get.
I'm just trying to. I'm not playing devil's advocate, but I'm coming from an outside world. I'm coming from the commercial world, and I'm trying to figure out, what sort of power any specific artist has over their genre.
Well, Martin Parr's not an artist. He's much more than that. Don't make me tell jokes at such an important time.
Jesus.
So listen to this, Rob. Here's where it gets interesting for me. Okay.
Okay.
But I really appreciate what you're saying, and I get what you're saying.
This is for a discussion below. Anybody want to discuss below? Rock on.
Listen to this here, okay? So the article's really good. It's in the art newspaper. It's written by Tom. There's a really interesting photograph of Baptiste Halliday. She's been campaigning against Parr's association with Photobook. Okay. So anyway, what we get is we get down and there's a really interesting part where this is where I kind of, you're reading through the whole thing, it's awfully interesting. But then you get the, Brad Furham, a photographic artist and editor of podcast series Nearest Truth, and of course American Silverbacks, where I stand with that. And speaks about the accusations of racism levelled at Parr. And then it goes on to say, and it's paraphrasing, when Parr apologised, he said he did not understand the book was potentially offensive or racist. That, of course, is a problem. Big problem. But he recanted this position, and in his apology, acknowledged his poor reading as a writer of a preface for a new edition. Yeah, okay, yeah, I get that.
I thought he was the editor.
Well, we'll talk. We'll talk about that in a second. Doesn't mean that Bertoni's original intent was racist. No.
No.
Okay. No. Does it make Parr a racist? No. And I read that and I was like, I kind of had a debate with myself a bit.
Can I ask a question, Chris?
Yeah.
Because I'm being ignorant here. In the original edition in 1969, were those two photographs side by side on a spread?
That's what I don't know, but I think they were, yeah. I think they were. If they weren't, they must have been, because I think if they weren't, we would have heard it by now. But what's interesting, I'll read this last bit, but what's really interesting, whenever he levels the apology, he's holding the book apparently, but it doesn't say edited by Martin Parr. He's holding the old book that doesn't say it. So what we have here are what do you call your guy that's with Boris Johnson that did the driving?
Michael Gove?
No.
Cummings.
It feels very like Dominic Cummings, which is really disappointing. But listen to this here, and this is the crux of the whole thing. And Tom and these guys have got it bang on. Does it mean that Martin Parr's racist? No, but it does indicate that the perpetuation of problematic issues between photography and race that needs as wide a discussion as possible. Okay. And Brad says here, really importantly, it was his resignation was a missed opportunity, that they should have went on. The festival should have continued with him, and it should have been discussed at the festival with rigor.
What a great panel. Yeah. Panel, town hall, open discussion thing that would have been. Yeah. That would have brought people in. Yeah.
The claim is serious and it should be addressed in an open dialogue, not in a tone-deaf silencing. I believe Parr's apology could have come sooner and much more compassion. I also believe if his cancellation is the end of the conversation, it has failed to promote corrective growth. Now that for me was enlightening. Because I wasn't wallowing, I wasn't dancing around my room about Martin, but I was shocked, but I was also happy that somebody had been called out for the whole thing of that in that elite sense. But actually, what I'd really missed in the whole thing was the opportunity to debate it.
Exactly.
To sit down and, for him,
absolutely,
for him to sit down and say, and not defend.
Absolutely.
It was a super opportunity. So I think what's happening is it's kind of...
Yeah, I'd say it's defending. I would say it's defending. Definitely. I mean, not necessarily that's his stance, but he obviously put his name on the book.
Well, he's not,
so you need to be able to defend that at least.
Martin's not stupid. Or if he has, he's done very well for himself. You know what I mean? So listen to this. You need to go in, okay? You need to go in and read. I'll put links to it because I'll not read it now. But basically, I'll be very quick. It starts off, "Dear Mercedes, I believe that you initiated the original protest at the NPG about the Petunia book and what was in show there. I want to apologise to you." It goes on and on and on. "I must have seen the spread in question but not logged its implication, and an oversight I deeply regret." That's one sentence. We issued a further statement last week, as I felt many people had missed the original apology, and I had just spoken. So, we all missed the original apology. Well, I've been onto his website. There's no sign of the apology. In fact, there's no sign of anything. I've been onto the Bristol photo page. There's no sign of anything. He's just been wiped off it. Now, these aren't major problems, especially not for the Bristol thing. That's okay. They have a show to run. But I think we do need to be... I think they do need to take Brad up. I think they do need to take Tom up and introduce some sort of... They do need dialogue around the whole thing. I think that's where people will come to... And the thing is, Martin has a get out here in a sense. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He certainly, if he doesn't worry about the book and all the tones that have been leveled at him, I would stop taking the piss out of him on this. And for that alone, he must be thinking, my goodness, maybe I will do that. So anyway, go in and read Baptiste's reply to him. It is honestly, I just, I think it's a reply of beauty. Whenever somebody fights with you and you go home and you're sitting in your sofa and you come up with the perfect reply, in your head, and you go over and over and over it.
2 hours later,
and you're like, that taught them. If only I'd said that. Well, this isn't, this is now out there. So he's being, I'm not sure what Baptiste is, what age she is, but it's a thing of beauty. So that's me. That's my rant over. I think that we're the guys say we're missing an opportunity. Hopefully it'll happen. Hopefully this will be pointed out. I'll certainly.
Well, if it doesn't happen at Bristol, I mean, people are probably going to request it at the next, photo festival he ever attends.
Yeah, I think so. Well,
it's got to be.
Yeah,
it can't be eluded from.
Well, it can't just disappear. It can't just disappear, unfortunately. Nope. But there we go. And I did write on a thing, and I don't regret writing it, but I think my tone was probably, in hindsight, wealthy merchant from Bristol torn off his plinth. But the thing is, the kind of that's an easy thing to be levelled at Martin. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He is wealthy. He is on a pedestal. All that stuff.
The old guard.
The old guard. So,
yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice if something positive did come out of this, and we had the binner mugs, we had to send back the hoodies. I think if things work out right, let's give away a free membership to the Martin Parr Foundation. I've just signed up for some stuff to see what the crack is. So I'm sure this will be appearing hopefully in the next few podcasts. We'll get a bit more clarity in the whole thing. I don't think I said anything there that I should say allegedly about, should I? No.
I think you should just punctuate the whole thing with
allegedly.
Allegedly.
Well, I'm sure the Brad and the guys won't care. But yeah, that was brilliant. Rob, please tell me your stories about Martin Parr.
Oh, we need to go.
Is that it over?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, it's not. Is it actually?
Yeah. 27 minutes.
Do you know what's happened there, Rob? Do you want me to tell you what's happened? Do you want me to tell you what's happened?
What?
Martin isn't just an elitist photographer. He's also a time traveller. He's watched this 4 weeks ago and has come back and has about with our clocks. What a desperado he is. I want a Martin mug so I can heave wine into me while... I'm sorry, Rob, I've taken away your...
It's all right. The camera's still rolling.
Is it?
Yeah.
What do you think of Martin?
You want to press pause?
Yeah, let's press pause.
Wow, Chris, I just, I hope everything works out with at least the Bristol Photo Fest.
I'm sure it'll work out okay. I'm sure they have, we'll talk about that again. There's a nice story in that as well. I won't allude to it now because I'm doing a bit of research. But yeah, there is, we don't wish anybody ill on the podcast, for sure.
No.
You know what I mean?
We wish them growth.
Yeah.
Education.
Yeah.
Knowledge. Self-fulfillment.
Yeah. Can we also wish a wee tiny bit of wise the fuck upness? Just a smidgen of wise the fuck upness. You know what I mean?
I almost sprayed my iced tea over the camera.
Rob, do you know what? That reminds me of the story you told me about you in Las Vegas with those. No, it doesn't matter. We won't talk about that. We don't.
No. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Dude,
don't, Rob. Don't.
I'll tell you. Did I tell you that last one? Or did I tell that on air?
Well, if you did tell me, it will be on air somewhere. It'll be in one of my secret blogs.
Oh my goodness.
Rob's big dirty punk blog.
Remind me. I'll tell you when we're done this.
Rob, tell me.
Anyways,
tell me your story.
So my story, Chris.
Story. I'm sorry to ramble on.
So yes, I totally agree. There's a Black Lives Matter story with Annie Leibovitz in the Vogue cover. Yeah. There's another first black photographer cover for Vanity Fair out there this week. I mean, all that stuff's great. It's groundbreaking. It's it's been way
how many
long.
How many black photographers were in Magnum in Britain?
None.
One.
None. No, they just. I thought it just happened.
I think there was one person of
recently.
color. I must double check that, but that was my understanding from my.
But you think about it, Chris. It's 2020.
Of course, loads of time. We've loads of time. We've loads of time to wise up.
2020. We've had photography for what? 150 years, almost 200 years in different ways, shapes, or forms. Let's even say it's been a strong 100 years that we've had popular photography.
Did you say rubber plantations there? Did you say
rubber plantation or rubber pants?
Yeah.
Or Robert Plant.
Jesus, I know.
Anyways, what I'm saying is Vanity Fair, first black cover? Come on. Seriously.
That's nuts.
That's nuts. That is nuts. Vogue, first person of color on a Vogue cover?
Right?
Well, that's what I think it was. And Annie Leibovitz shot it.
Do you know?
Well, maybe I've got it wrong. Somebody will tell me in the description.
Rob, if anybody takes something we're saying for fact without checking it, they need their head read.
Yeah.
We're
just two idiots.
Shooting the
just
shit.
Two total
old
idiots.
white men calling out other old white
on a Friday night.
White men.
Drinking our iced tea.
I'm going to say this to you really quickly. Whenever you're going through forums and you have to do the equal opportunities monitoring, you know what I mean? And you go down through all the different things you could be, and you have to tick white.
I don't understand it.
I
did that today. I just don't understand it. And my religious and my political
sexual
views and it's none of anybody's business. None of anybody's business. I appreciate the census. I appreciate, knowing, specific percentages of populations and stuff. But my name is on that. My specific name is on that specific form. Like, why do you need to know, specifically me at this point, this point on this form? Why do you need to know? Yeah. So my story, Chris,
go ahead.
Is big story. Sony now becomes the official camera of the Associated Press.
Good old AP.
Which the AP
massive,
massive. So Associated Press, they have a few hundred staff photographers around the world. So you're looking at now, Sony is going to outfit these photographers mostly with A9 Mark IIs, A7 Mark IVs. Yeah. So 40. So what is that? That's the That's the 65 megapixel camera, 65 megapixel camera with video, with S-Log and everything on the video. So, and then they've got 4 or 5 lenses for each kit. So you've got 1 or 2 bodies, 4 or 5 lenses. You've got hundreds of photographers. So that's a pool. That's a massive pool of Sony equipment. So the reason that they've been negotiating this for, a couple dozen months to get this is that it allows the AP members to swap and trade lenses when needed. And, just for the actual AP camera pool to have one, uniform camera system.
Were they just solely with Canon, or it was a free-for-all?
I think it was kind of a free-for-all.
So what we have there is essentially... No,
not a monopoly.
What we're going to have is a unification of image. We're going to have something that looks with tonality and all the stuff that goes along with everyone's shooting the same thing. Now, do you think there'll be much dissent? Do you think there will be people...
I don't think you'll ever see that specifically.
Oh, I know.
Whether or not you'll be able to spot that printed on toilet paper in a newspaper, But yeah, no, I appreciate that, it's one cohesive, single color space that everybody's going to be working with.
Which probably for editors and stuff, you thinking this?
Oh, yes, it'll be so much easier. They'll know exactly where to go with settings and stuff. They get a file, they see it. There's the RAW, there's the JPEG. They look at the JPEG, they look at the RAW, they go, this is what we...
You and I, can you imagine me and you going to, I don't know where we'd go to. Where would we go to, you and I? Mexico, probably. For low.
I'd go to Africa.
We'd go to Botswana, right? And we're there. We're dishing out the lenses and stuff.
Or India. Some nice vegan food.
India's always at me. We are going to go to India. We're going to wait until Loon's up a wee bit. Do you know I had a friend went to India? Well, not a friend. Just to interrupt you 2 seconds. A lady called Sister Ruth, okay, who wasn't really a sister. I met her carrying the statue of the Virgin Mary around Ireland, and I was fascinated by her. So I said I did things. I'll tell you this again. But anyway, she went to India. What did she eat the whole time she was in India? A rucksack full of Mars bars. Didn't want to share her, so she told me. That was her words, not mine.
Our mutual friend Charles went to India last year.
To do what?
Yeah, and he kind of ate the same thing. You had to be very, very, very careful.
But my aunt, God rest her soul, my Auntie Jan, coolest person alive. Went to San Salvador during whenever it was all kicking off because she thought it'd be cool.
What, the 70s?
Went to India by herself. Brought me back a gift via Russia. But listen to this here.
Oh my gosh!
Auntie Jan said this to me. It must be my Auntie Jan. Told me that she was getting on a bus to go like on a 2-hour journey to a different city. As soon as she got on the bus, she hit herself. Right? Now, listen to this here. Ew. By the time she got off the bus, it was like it took hours to get off. It was like concrete. It had hardened and dry. I know. You don't think of these things. So sorry to interrupt your AP story with stories. My God rest my dead auntie, and she was super duper. Yeah.
Montezuma's revenge.
Yes.
Sony, AP. Anyways, I think it's a massive coup. You think about Tokyo next year, if it happens next year, that's going to be a sea of Sony. They're going to have 2 or 3 tractor trailers in the parking lot doing sensor cleanings, professionals popping in, borrowing lenses. Like, it is going to be, it'll be a monopoly. It'll be a Sony monopoly there.
As you know what you say, is it going to make the professional side of stuff around the Olympics, is it going to be tighter to get stuff, if your camera breaks? Is it going to be tighter to get replacements? Is it going to be, there's bound to be some.
Oh, for us as Sony professionals? I don't know if there's going to be that much repercussions, I don't know. I don't think so. I think there's going to be still people in England and still people in Germany. I mean, the couple of times that I needed servicing, it's always been to Germany. Well, not me personally.
Where'd you go, Berlin? Do you go to Berlin for servicing, Rob?
In New Jersey.
I don't care what you were wearing. I just want to know what happened.
But I mean, I think it's great, and you know what? It really. I mean, with Canon coming out
kick in the teeth.
with their R5 and R6 and all the issues that the R5 and R6 are having, that Canon are trying to quell, but it's not working. I've watched more and more reviews about the R5 and the R6, and they're having all sorts of overheating issues.
What's really interesting is on MasterChef now, what they're doing is they don't have ovens anymore. They just have
They just get a couple of R5s.
They're cooking eggs, they're boiling rice, they're doing all sorts of shit on it. It's really fascinating.
But you see how Canon comes out with that stuff. Nikon rebuts immediately with their own stuff. Sony, that A7S3 that we've been talking about for 5 years? We're going to announce something.
You've gone?
And everybody goes crazy. And now, AP, now they've got the AP. And the other thing with the AP is, yes, there's a few hundred AP members when it comes to photographers, but there's thousands of freelancers. So when it comes to, potential deals for new cameras, new lenses and stuff for those freelancers, if AP is able to swing deals for their freelancers, what are they going to buy? What are they going to buy?
The thing is, Rob, think of that. That's going to just be like, I'm sure it's small fry in a sense for Sony, but it's also a major coup psychologically against.
Yes. Oh,
I love it. Do you know why I love it, Rob? Do you know why I love it?
Oh, yes.
Do you know why I love it?
There's a Canon guy, a Canon executive over in Japan right now. He's putting his head down on his rice pillow and he's trying to fall asleep, and he can't fall asleep because he knows that the Sony guy is on the other side of town and he is sound asleep.
Do you know the University of Ulster, Rob? Or the Ulster University, as it's now known, because they made a massive shift in branding away from University of Ulster to Ulster University. I randomly was down at the front desk, and there was a Japanese gentleman, and Liz, who's a wonderful person in front of the house, she's just incredible. She basically runs the place. She used to be doing Paul Seward's job. Anyway, she says to me, Chris, could you talk to this gentleman? He's looking to speak to someone in photography. And I went over, and he was the Japanese representative for Canon. And he was obviously going around. Yeah,
really?
So I introduced myself in Japanese to him because I know Japanese, right? And he was very shocked, right? But what was even better wasn't if I took him up in the lift to introduce him to the photography department, that I introduced him in Japanese. The people looked awfully shocked. It was like Hong Kong.
Did you?
Watashi wa Chris-san. Yes, I used to run an international youth hostel while I was on the dole. Can they get you for retrospective stuff? Maybe I shouldn't say that. I did a lot of stuff. But anyway, the Japanese were my favourite guys that come in because they were always in the... the photographs were great, but they were always hammered. They would go to the pub and get absolutely lost in drink. That's why I love them. But so there you go. It must have been there. It must have been there to try.
There you go.
So listen, that's really interesting because then what that makes me feel like is that I've made the right choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, I the right choice is the old Ansel Adams quote. To paraphrase. The best camera is the camera that you have in front of you.
Well, there's also a Martin Parr phrase. Can I give you...
Go ahead.
No, I won't. I'm going to pull back from that. I wonder what Martin shoots, actually. I wonder what he shoots on. I'm going to write him an email and ask him. I'd say...
I don't want to know what he shoots on.
Not. Oh, dear. It's magic, isn't it? Stop.
I don't know what he shoots on.
But you know what? All digs aside, he really up. Anyway, we're in a different thing, aren't we? We're in a different thing. Yeah, okay.
All right. Chris, I'm going to say
you
goodbye.
Have a chance to say it Arbiter or something to make yourself sound smart as well.
Yes.
Very creepy. I like that a lot.
Bienvenue.
Up the bon nuit, babies. Have you never heard of that, Rob? Shut up.
You can tell me that later.
Toast. Okay,
all right, go. Chris.
Rob, as always,
okay.
Absolute pleasure.
It's been great, Chris. We'll see you next week.
Peace be with you. Parr.
Ciao.
Parr. I shouldn't joke, should I? I shouldn't joke. I was going to say pardon me and all that shit, but I couldn't be bothered. So you know what? I'm still recording. I put it off now. Hold up.